Well, g'day listeners, it's Spinksy and the Weekend Waves, and we have a very special guest with us this afternoon, mic'd up with the locals. He's actually quite an interesting fella, Sunshine Coast local with a well-accomplished amateur surf career back in his younger days. Keeps a pretty low-key presence on the sunny coast these days, but you could say he's part of that collective underground surf crew that go around and charge waves across the world. In fact, over the years, our guest has acquired a taste of taking surfing on a personal level to a whole new kind of froth, chasing down those big swells, particularly Fiji, Cloudbreak, and more recently on Hawaii's North Shore, out at Himalayas during the big Eddie Swell with waves reaching up to 50 feet plus. Incredible. Now, our guest today, many would know him simply as Kingy. It's Anthony King. How are you going, Kingy?
Mate, I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm very well, mate. Now, before we get into the gnarly stuff, let's just take a little rewind back to your younger years and growing up on the sunny coast and getting into surfing. How did that all start?
I think it all started when the old man put us into nippers and on the nipper boards I was pretty much just standing up all the time. So the old man's, well, all right, we better get you a board then. So one afternoon he's rocked up for myself and my brother, some old single fin dunger that he got off one of his bricklayer mates. And I started surfing on that. And then I think it was a birthday the year later, he actually took that board. I've actually still got the board in the garage there. Okay. And he got it reshaped into a little thruster, a little yellow swallowtail with Kingy across the deck of it. So, that's where it all started, I guess. We're originally from Canberra, so probably shouldn't say that, but so we didn't really have any ocean sense. So I think Mum and Dad wanted us to get into nippers just for our safety, to learn the ocean because we're living here on the sunny coast. But yeah, that's where it pretty much all started.
Yeah, and then you become part of that young grommet pack hanging out at Brian Weir's Inside Edge. Won't delve into too much of that, but no. And you started off a little career in amateur with surfing. Pick up surf and pipe dream boards as well with Murray Burton.
Yeah, you're right there. After sort of getting a little bit better on the surfing and stuff, Brian Weir was looking after all the crew there down at Maroochydore. And a bit of a ragtag bunch running around, these male trotters, Ryan Abdi and James Savage and whatnot. And I'm about a year or 18 months younger than all those blokes. So I used to sort of hang out with Abdul's brother, Drew, and another boogie boarder, Josh. And there was actually more boogie boarders in our year at school than surfers, which was quite amazing. The booger crew, they used to call themselves.
Drew was a kneeboarder.
Kneeboarder, yeah. So, Drew, Josh and I used to do dawn patrols down Maroochydore there. We'd even bloody riding down the beach in wintertime with socks on our hands. It was that friggin' cold. Then Brian sort of hooked us up, all that sort of crew with, we're all riding pipe dreams, and I think we got sponos off Headworks back then as well. There's some great times back then. It was bloody unreal.
You still have that relationship with the pipe dream boards, but more trademark, even with a lightning bolt off Murray Burton. Yeah,
that's correct. Muzz is I think a couple of years ago, sort of got involved with Lightning Bolt Australia. They were going to try and get the brand going again. Obviously, our age, we know what Lightning Bolt was back in the day, but it sort of fizzled out over the years. The owner was trying to get that sort of brand restarted again, and then Muzzer was doing he's making all the, the pipeliners and wall hangers and stuff like that. And Muzzer dropped me a line one day on Facebook, just commented on one of my waves that I'd posted. And I rang him up and said, because at the time I think I was riding some Weirs, some Belchers, and I said, Muzz, I wouldn't mind grabbing some boards off you again. And so we've sort of got that relationship back again, and he's got me on the Lightning Bolt sort of surfboards, but they're great boards.
Zane Harrison was on with the pipe dreams too.
Yeah, he still is. He's still riding Burtons. He's been coming down now for the North Shore board rides. He's got, he's got 5 kids, I think.
I thought it was 7 or something.
Maybe 7, yeah. And they're doing the commute from Agnes to come down to board rides. And he's got all his kids on Burtons and stuff. So he's still got that connection with Muzzer. They've got a really good friendship.
Yeah, that's really, really cool, eh?
Yeah.
So from that, with your surfing years, a lot of the locals ended up going to G-Land, surfing over there, Dibble, Corey. Were you part of that as well, chasing that sort of dream? Or
Those guys got onto the surf guide gig with Scardy, and they've all been doing that for like 20 years. I sort of bailed out of the coast and went and lived up in Japan for a few years, so I sort of missed that boat. I didn't actually surf for a good couple of years. I just sort of left here and just needed a change of bloody, I don't know, just a change of area, doing something different. So I'm glad I did. I mean, I've got a lovely wife and beautiful kids now from that trip. But yeah, so I sort of missed the boat with those guys that were going to G-Land, and they're still doing it. And they sort of own the place. Oh, Dibs, geez, can't get a wave off him out there.
Yeah. Now, I mentioned early, you've acquired the taste for surfing, chasing some big swells, particularly Fiji. And you mentioned Scardy then, some big inspiration there with that big wave he took off at Cloudbreak on that big, was it a red board, I think, wasn't it? A big red gun?
Yeah, big AB, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it was the AB, that's right.
An AB, yeah.
And last week, your social pages blew up by a couple of posts and some Instagram stories going, oh, Kingy's out at this massive Himalayas. Now, first of all, what drives you to chase those big swells, and what was the big inspiration of hitting that place, you know?
Like, truthfully, mate, like, Scardy's a massive inspiration. The wave that he got there at Cloudbreak, I mean, Cloudbreak wasn't open that long, and he did one of the first trips there. So, and that Thundercloud movie, like, I've watched it over and over and over again. So that's why I'm trying to get that one at Cloudbreak. I still haven't got that one, and I tell that to Scardy all the time, and we discuss that sort of thing. But to go to these other places, it's like, it's just the whole process, like watching the swells, packing the board bags, the anxiety you're getting when you're getting on the plane and just going to these places. It's just the whole package thing. But I've also got a friend that lives down at Cronulla. He's probably 10 years younger than I am, and he just pushes me. He's like, let's go here, let's go there. So he's sort of a key to some of these stupid situations I end up in. But yeah, I just enjoy that whole thing of just watching a swell and chasing it and getting it. And usually it's a big left-hander. I've gone to a couple of bigger rights, like down at 2 Mile down at Western Victoria, and same again, my mate Hato dragged me down to Shippies. That wasn't real successful. I just went over the falls. Not being used to wearing booties and stuff like that. I tripped over my booty and went top to bottom. It wasn't that fun. But yeah, it's just the whole process, I think. Yeah, just enjoy it.
Now, before we touch on that gnarly wave at Himalayas, because it's quite fucking big. Seriously, huge. You've delved into a life of lifeguarding, and now you're like the chief of the lifeguards on the sunny coast.
Yeah. I'd come back from Japan. As I said, I hadn't surfed for a few years. I was about 15 kgs when I got back, because I was working behind a bar, drinking lots of alcohol, whatnot. And Abdul, God bless his soul, was lifeguarding when I got back. And I think I was doing surf schools with Robbie and Carleen Sherwell, XL Surf Academy. And I'd see Abdul just, trotting around there on the beach. I'm like, how do I get into that gig? And Abdul sort of told me how, and I knew the supervisor back then, Heath Colley's the same age as me. We were in nippers together and stuff like that, and knew him and his family. And so yeah, it all sort of started there, casual lifeguard, and then a few years later, permanent, or quite early permanent, and then a supervisor, and now I've sort of climbed up the chain to be chief lifeguard and run the Sunshine Coast. Got 3 supervisors under me and about 150 lifeguards. So I think this job also helps me do what I do, because I'm able to go for a surf, like before work. I'll grab a 20-minute lunch break, go for a surf if there's a little wave, and I think that's the key as well. Like, I try and surf every day.
And being in that, the fitness and the preparedness going into these big swells.
Yeah, and
as well.
it definitely helps. Like, we've got to do fitness assessments twice a year, so I've got to keep some sort of level of fitness, even though I must admit the last probably year I've been extremely lazy. But we've got to keep that bit of fitness. But also, being in the lifeguard service has gotten me a contacts elsewhere. Like, I went over to Hawaii to catch up with the Big Wave Risk Assessment Group a few years ago, and that trip was also, it was slightly funded by SLSQ, my employer, because I went and also caught up with the North Shore lifeguards and saw how they did stuff over there, the equipment they're using, all their jet ski training, all that sort of stuff. So it was really interesting. So being in this industry has also helped me, having those contacts and getting sort of into these situations as well.
So outside of your mate down at Cronulla, those guys that you have met up with the lifeguards and so forth, and most likely also get into the big swells over there surfing, like old mate that took out Waimea, Shepherd, you know
Luke
him?
Shepherdson,
Yeah.
I don't know him, but yeah.
So were they your key to preparing to head out to Himalayas that day?
No, it was more a guy who's highly involved with the Big Wave Risk Assessment Group. And he's actually an Australian as well, but he's been living in Hawaii for about the last 20 years. He's a really good mate of Dibble's as well. He actually firstly went over there when Dibble was there years ago. His name's Liam Wilmot, and he hangs around with like Cole Christensen, Ramon Navarro, Ben Wilson, all those sort of big wave chargers over there. And that's who he usually goes with to go surfing. So that swell that we just went for, he was a little bit concerned because all those guys that he usually trains with and they do water safety with him and they mix it up, they're all in the Eddie. Mm-hmm. And he had now just two Aussie guys that have never been to the Outer Reefs, and he's sort of out there doing water safety for us. So, but that's the sort of contacts that I've got out of. But it's not just that as well. It's a lot of the travelling you do, you seem to see the same people doing the same things. And so you make these connections with people, which then helps because you go, they're like, oh, come and stay with us, or, vice versa. I mean, they don't come here because there's no frigging waves.
Yeah.
But, it makes it a lot easier to travel because you've met those people and they offer you to come and stay with them and stuff like that.
Right, the day where you knew it was on.
Well,
take us through the whole thing.
Well, we'd been watching the swell for the Eddie that got called on and then got called off. Again, it was my mate in Haydo. He's a coal miner, and so he works night times, and he's calling me in the middle of the day. I'm at work, and I'm like, what's he ringing me about? And he goes, there's a swell, Hawaii, let's go. He's already surfed Himmy's once, but he also wants to surf at Jaws. So we're looking at that swell. That didn't happen, and then the next one happened. So we saw my board bags were already packed for the first one. And that's another story, actually, the boards. But anyway, we're ready. I was pretty much ready to go. We got the tickets. We didn't think it was going to be as big as what it got. So, and again, we'd hooked up with Liam, and he's like, yeah, he's good. He's got some time off. He can do water safety for us. We can stay at his girlfriend's place. She's got a little granny flat out the back. He's got a car we can borrow. So it's like, all right, so we just... the cost of things are going down because it's bloody expensive over there to hire a car, accommodation, all this sort of stuff. So, we locked it in and jumped on the plane. And still, it wasn't like the swell was going to be so crazy. And they're looking at the buoys and stuff, and I've already booked it. I'm not looking at it anymore. It's like, all right, I'm going, that's it. I stopped looking at the forecast. But they're constantly checking the buoys. We'd gotten there. We went for a surf that afternoon. We got there, and it was like 3 foot, this beautiful reef break. Like, I don't even know where we were. It was like as far as you can go north on the North Shore. And it was just beautiful. And then we went back and had a feed. And we started prepping all the jet ski and the rescue sled, making sure my inflation vest was leaking. So we've ended up getting a spare one. I borrowed Kai Garcia's inflation vest. We'd gone to the Patagonia store. So we're just running around getting shit ready. And then, lo and behold, that night, the buoys peaked at 27 foot at 19 seconds. It's like, oh, geez. It's on. This is serious. Oh, and also, back to the boards. So I've got, my biggest boards are 9.8. It's a Burton shape that actually bought it off Rudy Schwartz, another Noosa guy. He charges. He goes surfing. He was charging shippies. He surfed the right, stuff like that. Like, he absolutely charges. But yeah, so I bought that off him second hand, and get our boards out of the board bag, and then Liam, the Aussie guy over there, he pulls his board down off the rack. It's 11.0, and my board looked like a short board. And it's like, yeah, all right, I'm borrowing your board, Liam. I think that one can just stay here. So we had tow boards. I had 11.0. Hato had, what size was his? I don't know what size. It might have been up to 10 foot, just under 10 foot. He had a Kirk Bjerk. And yeah, we got everything ready. And then went back, stayed at his girlfriend's place. And it was on the next morning. We're up in the dark. We did say, let's just wait because the swell's going to grow through the day. So let's just don't rush in the morning. But we rushed. We were straight down the harbour. I had to go do a nervous shit down. Had to go into the Haleiwa toilet. Walk over to Haleiwa and there's waves breaking. The waves came up up the beach into the car park.
Holy hell.
Yeah. The harbour was just like surging, like up and down. So like even launching the jet ski, we had to time like a bit of a surge. So the plan was Liam and I went on the jet ski with a tow board, and Hato was going by road with a spare board, spare leggies, another tow board. Anyway, we get out the back. I go out through the harbour, and we come the first point that you come to out of Haleiwa Harbour, can't remember what it's called. It's like 20-foot right-hand point break, just reeling down, so perfect, massive, and I'm just like, wow, there's no one surfing it. We keep going, and I've never been out behind out behind Himalayas. I sort of didn't even really know where the wave was. I knew it was somewhere down near Laniakea and Jocko's or whatever. And anyway, we get there, but the swell lines, like I've never seen anything like it. It's just like, the lines were so long as far as you could see, and with the period, it was just so defined. It was massive. And we pull up at the back of Haleiwa, and Liam goes, oh, just put your foots in those straps on the tow board, see if they're not too tight. I put my feet in, I'm like, yeah, no, they're all right. He goes, all right, I'll jump in. I'm just like, oh, shit, here we go. And there was another tow team there, but there were two guys paddling. And they were with the tow team sort of thing. Or there might have been one other jet ski, I can't remember. Anyway, I'm just like, here you go. Liam's just going to whip me into something that's just, I don't even know what's going on. But a set came and we took off. The first tow team went and then we went. But then luckily the surfers started paddling like they wanted the wave. So Liam just sort of, whipped me real fast and I just held on. And as I come off the back of the wave, I'm like, was I meant to let go? And he's like, no, they were paddling for it. And then that's when he said, all right, looks like it's paddle day. Like they're paddling already. So we went in to get our paddle stuff ready. And so I think we went in, dropped me off with the tow board. Hato jumped on the sled. They went back out. I went and got the 11.0 and went back out. And we're sitting out there. Mate, getting out through the channel on the jet ski was horrendous. Like going out through, there's a channel that follows Laniakea, which is a big right-hander, and just getting out there on the jet ski, like it was 10 foot, 8 foot, 12 foot things. Like at one stage we had to do a Yui and we got chased in by a set that was closing out the channel. So yeah, it was pretty big, and Liam was sort of like, oh look, it's like the biggest and most consistent he'd sort of seen it out there. And he's been there for 20
Himalayas?
years. Yeah, this is at Himalayas, yeah. And so I jump in and it's hard. I've never surfed there, and Hato never surfed there. All those guys that usually surf there, like I said, were at Waimea. And so there were a couple of local guys absolutely charging, and they sort of knew where to sit, but it was sort of playing cat and mouse. It's like when it's sort of bigger waves, you're paddling out, but then it's like, oh, now I'm too far out. Go in, and then so we're sitting in a bit further, and then this set comes, like the biggest anything we've seen all morning, and it cleaned most of us up. I dove under it, and you could just hear this, and it's just boards and leggies snapping.
Jeez.
You can hear it underwater.
Wow.
I'm like, whoa, and I come up, and my leggy hadn't snapped, And I just got my board back, got back on the board. I wasn't even on the board properly. I think I got like 3 or 4 strokes, and then had to bail. There was because there was another one, and then again, and then bang, mine goes. It's not my board, it's Liam's board. Liam was on the ski. He later told me, he goes, on the first one, he saw his 11-foot board just go over, and like Mark Healy's board on Thundercloud, and he was like just going, oh man, it's going to snap or something for sure. But there were 2 guys out further. They got on the first wave, just went over with the wave. My mate Hado's board snapped, and then when I come up after the second one, Hado and I are pretty close together, and we're like swimming as fast as we can, and he goes, Kingy, I think we're in a bad spot. And I'm like, I know! Luckily there wasn't another wave. Yeah. And then a jet ski came and grabbed us, dropped Hado into the channel. It wasn't Liam. Liam was trying to help some of the other guys because there wasn't that many people doing water safety. And but then I go inside, mate, there's boards in half everywhere. I jumped on a half of one board and grabbed it on the mat because my board had luckily got washed right in. And then I'm on the beach, and yeah, it was absolute mayhem. So, and then Hado got brought in because his brand new Kirkby Yerk had been snapped in half. So yeah, we had to regroup. I had to get another leggy. I think we had another leggy in the front of the jet ski, and get back out there. Hado, we had another spare board, which it's a guy called Tavita, who is Fijian. And he was at that last swell you saw at Cloudbreak with Julian Wilson. Mm-hmm. He gets a really big barrel out there. Davita's a great bloke, but yeah, we had his board in the car. He didn't know. Liam just said, just grab that one. And so Hado's grabbed that. We get back out. We sort of regroup. And yeah, again, we're playing cat and mouse. And I actually started getting a bit frustrated because I couldn't get a wave. And then finally I was in a little bit further. There was a couple that I paddled over that I could have swung on. I was actually Kip Caddy and I was sitting out there, another guy from down at Cronulla. And yeah, we both said, geez, we could have got those ones, but you're scared shitless. Yeah. It's like, it's so big, you sort of want one, but you don't. And but the one I finally got, I was just in the spot. It was funny actually, Derek Donor turned up on a jet ski and Kip Caddy and I are sitting way out. He's come over and he asked if any of the jet skis were causing any chop on the waves, and we're like, oh, don't know, we haven't caught one. But and then he said something. He goes, yeah, you're in the sort of the right spot. He's pointing at the mountains and the trees. You know, like you need to line that up. And Kip and I are sort of looking at each other like, okay, rightio, cheers, Derek. And then the one last thing he goes, let the wave come to you. Don't you go, or something along some Hawaii, I don't know, yeah, some legend saying something to us, and we sort of just nodding our heads. But that wave I got was like that. It just sort of came to me, and I was in the spot. I swung, I went. There was actually another guy that I had to yell off, which was like, I'm going that fast, and I was up that high, and this guy sort of just slid off his board and pulled it to the side. I thought he was going to go over, but he didn't. And yeah, it's like the highest I've ever been on a wave, and the fastest I've ever gone going down a wave. And I was on an 11.0, which I'd never surfed on before. Could have been on a clubby board or something like that, you know. Mm. And yeah, it's coming off the bottom, and I'm like, I could maybe get up, and then last second, it's just like when you realise, oh shit, I'm too deep, or you know, it's not really gonna. I could see it wasn't gonna fully barrel, and I went straight and wore it on the head. And I was looking up at the thing, and I was like, man, this could break my leg. And it was so far up, and I could just see, like, the lip was so big, and I was like, whoa. And you could, like, you know, the sun was shining through the back of the lip.
Is that the one that you
flipped
out on the...
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And, yeah, so it landed on me pretty much. I got lit up. I couldn't find my ripcord for my flotation. But my wetsuit's got all foam and stuff in it. But I was getting pretty ragdoll, but I wasn't really stressing too bad. And then I finally found the ripcord. I inflated. The boys reckon my board was just tombstoning for ages. And it took so long to come up. My ears sort of popped when I was getting ragdolled. I was coming up, and at one stage I was like, oh, I think I'm nearly at the top. And you know when you come up and shake your head, you know, get the water off your face and the hair out of your eyes. but I still wasn't up.
Shit.
It's like I was just coming through light foam. And finally come up, and I thought I was facing the wrong way and looking at the mountains on Oahu. It was the next wave. I was like, oh, shit, here we go. And so, yeah, that one was coming at me. So I just sort of put my hands across my body and just held on. And, got lit up for like the next couple of waves. And then it was funny, I was sort of deflating a bit. And Liam finally came in, got on the ski. My leg rope hadn't broke, the board hadn't broke, so all that was good. And we sort of get into the shorey. And I went to deflate some more, and I pulled the wrong cord, and I fully inflated again. And when we were prepping, doing all the water safety, all the, the safety checks and everything that morning, like you hear big wave guys going, oh, if you've done your 4 cylinders, you've had canisters, you've had a bad day, like call it quits. So oh well, Liam, I'm done. 4 canisters are done. I'm out. I'm done for the day. So we went back out in the channel, and I was just paddling in the channel then for like quite a while, and watching him, mate. And the swell was still coming up, and now it was about midday now, so it's taken me that long to just catch the one wave. And then we saw this young guy. This young guy was Brazilian, and he got probably 4 waves, but then he went for this wave, and the wind got under his board. He sort of tried to pull off, and he just went over with the lip. Like, you'd see him in the lip. It was that beautiful and blue. And then Liam's like, oh, jump off. The Hawaiian lifeguards went in, and so did Liam. He got a 2-wave hold down with his vest fully inflated. And I was just like, even then, but then, because I jumped off the ski and Liam went in there, I'm paddling, and the sweep would push you back towards the takeoff zone and in. So there's sets coming, and it's like, I was just paddling the whole time with my sphincter just going in.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then anyway, I finally got a lift in. Liam took me in, and that's when mate Haydos, he's already snapped a board, and he's on Tavita's board. He still hasn't had a wave. And then he did finally get a wave. It wasn't as big as he wanted, but he got a wave. And then he was paddling in the channel, and I don't know what time it was, maybe 1 o'clock or something. And a set came through, like Liam was calling it 30 odd plus foot Hawaiian, so it was massive. I don't know what that is.
They were saying 50 for faces.
Anyway, he got cleaned up in the channel and lost Tavita's board. And so then we're looking for Tavita's lost board, and we gave up. We went back, and Haydo kicked his toe in the restaurant. He's just had this sort of a dark cloud hanging over him, the poor guy. And we went back down the beach later. They went out on the ski looking for it, and it was at the because we told the lifeguards at Laniakea that we'd lost a board, and they had it there, and it looked like it had been sucked over to Jocko's somehow and smashed on the rocks. Every fin box was smashed in. It looked like someone had got a hammer with the claw in and just ripped like...
Crazy,
yeah.
So what was Vitaya?
Tavita.
Tavita.
Yeah, so I did a little story on Instagram, and I didn't even think when I did it and posted it. And his friend Yuri, who lives, actually absolute legend, who lives in Fiji, Fijian guy, he sent, "That's Tavita's board. It was like brand new." And I was like, "Yeah, someone's going to have to pay." But yeah, so I think Tavita's getting a new board out of that. Yeah.
So you'll go again?
Yeah. Like I only got the one wave there, and like the next day it dropped off. It was like 15, 20 foot. So, but it was dead glass. It was beautiful. And this was another funny thing that happened. And I didn't get to surf. Reason being was Haydo and Liam were surfing. Liam I think he caught a wave or whatever, but then he had to bail to go do some work. So I took him into the beach. And again, when we were doing the pre-op checks the day before, he said, "Look, don't use the reverse. It's a bit sticky on the jet ski. Use it in the harbour and stuff, that's all right. But if you're coming in at speed to do a rescue, try and use your foot to turn the ski, or, there's some other techniques to use." I was like, yeah, no worries. So the next day, it was really inconsistent. Beautiful glassy. It was still, like I said, 15, 20 foot, but it wasn't scary. It was like, looked nice. And anyway, Haydo got a wave. I went in to go pick him up. We're just talking, shop, whatever. And I'm like, oh, there's a set coming. So I put it in reverse. Haydo, get on the mat. He gets on the mat. Push it back in forward. I hit the accelerator, we keep going backwards. The jet ski's stuck in reverse. So I'm like, hey, get off. I'm stuck in reverse. He goes, no, just play with it, it'll be right. I'm like, I play with it. I said, no, mate, something snapped. And he's like, oh, and we're like, every time I'd accelerate, I'd go backwards. So I'm going further and further in. And after him breaking all the boards, I'm like, get off. And then I'm like, I'm not abandoning ship. I don't want to lose Liam's jet ski. And so I sort of pointed it at this friggin' 10-foot whitewash. And I just sat there and I'm like, all right. And it went straight up. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to flip over backwards. But then it just like came down. I started surfing this whitewash backwards.
Holy hell.
And somehow pulled it off. The mat was all folded up. I thought I'd broken the mat, but it was okay in the end. And then I pulled the mat up because every time I'd reverse the mat, I'd get a bit stuck under the ski. So I pulled it up and then I'm going in reverse back over into the channel and then all the way back out the back in reverse. And the whole time I'm thinking, surely I can and I'm thinking, how are we going to get back to Haleiwa? I'm like, all this stuff's going through my brain. And glad it wasn't as big as the day before. It happened the day before because we would have got wiped out for sure. And but yeah, then I jumped off the ski when I was in safe water and there was a little clip and I could push the bucket back up so it'd go forward. And Haydar was like, oh, you want to have a go? You want to catch some waves? I'm like, mate, let's just play it safe. And so, yeah, we bailed. Went back to the harbour and I don't even know what we did for the rest of the day. But so I still want to go back. I'd love to go back over there again and, yeah, try and get a few more. It's like
those hold downs, though, the breathing and all that, have you done any sort of training outside of, you know, any
so
of
I've done Liam Baldwin's course twice. One time a bunch of lifeguards and I did it, and then another time Kerry Keatley from OPC, Ocean Performance Centre, organised another session. So I've done that, and then also there's a group of us lifeguards that sort of, we catch up once a week and do some breath stuff as well, just in the pool. So it does help. It's sort of in the back of the mind there that you know you can sort of hold your breath for a certain amount of time, but it's all just really in your mind. It's like I said, like when I was getting flogged, it sort of wasn't really that bad. I mean, it was pretty horrific, but it wasn't, I didn't feel that stressed or like wigging out about it at all. I think it was actually the fourth wave that was the worst because I was still inflated. It pushed me for so long. I just was stuck in the whitewash. But the three bigger ones before it just was really violent. And but yeah, definitely doing, you know, one of those courses helps. Yeah.
So Mark Visser, he does courses like that, doesn't he? They rag roll you under the water and the pool and stuff like that. Yeah. But it'd never be the same though.
No, it's not the same.
Deep water too.
Yeah. Yeah. Like
not touching the bottom.
No, my ears, I don't think you'd want to touch the bottom.
No. Shit. Yeah. That's crazy. So, all right, we've done the big wave story. That's your involvement with the local surf club here on the Sunshine Coast North Shore. A lot of
Board Riders Club. Yeah.
They're down there at Newey right now.
Yeah, I watched Blake's heat there before he blew up. Mm-hmm. I think I joined North Shore Board Riders when I was like, maybe 12 or 13, I think. Again, you know, hanging out with all that riffraff, Kelky and Liddy and Izzy and Sav, and sort of becomes your family almost. Going away on trips with the team and stuff like that. But I think I was the president there for a little while. I've been the secretary, but mate, the club's just killing it at the moment. They've won nearly every teams challenge that you could sort of win over the last few years.
Yeah, that international one just recently.
Yeah, the Usher Cup. Yeah, they won that. So the club's doing real well.
Sophie, you know, unfortunate with an injury
at the moment. Yeah, it sucks.
It does. True. Yeah.
I was excited to watch her at Pipe. I really wanted to see that. So hopefully she heals soon and heals up and gets back into it.
Dimity now doing the commentary with WSL.
Yep.
Keely now helping out coaching young and grommets. And what's your involvement there? Are you doing that as well? Or?
No. I did a little bit when I was. I helped Bevo out, the president of the club, organise the other year some junior development stuff with the club. Same thing, trying just to get them into the Ocean Performance Centre and do a little bit of strength work, and then Grant Thomas, GT, and Matty Clark. They were coaching them on the beach, and then also doing a little bit of pool stuff with Keza, just to try and get the kids' confidence up. Not stress out when it gets 4 foot around here. But yeah, it's epic club. Yeah.
Yeah. So from big waves, little stint at home, and now you're off on a little family reunion catch up with Hiromi's family over in Japan and hitting the snow.
Yeah, mate. Yeah, we're going up to Hokkaido, Sapporo. It's going to be freezing cold. It's going to be good to go and visit. We haven't seen her mum for a couple of years, so yeah, we're really looking forward to that. Going to try and also catch up with Shane Peely. I'm going to try and steal some equipment off him. So the thing I'm looking forward to, I think, is going to the airport without a board bag. Because, man, every time I seem to go, I seem to be carrying 2 board bags, and it's just a mission.
How they rock up in those with those? Obviously, you're paying extra because they're longer.
Well, it's not the length, but I'll usually pay for an extra bag. So, and that's like, especially going to Fiji, because you can be surfing massive cloud break, and then you need your normal shortboard because restaurants is half the size, or you go surf swimming pools or something like that. So you need every board you've got in your quiver. So yeah, I end up taking 2 board bags and need every single one of them.
Yeah. Well, mate, it's been a pleasure chatting and catching up with that, especially talking about that big wave. That's insane, and we, as I said, it lit up on the socials, and just reading the comments, it just kept going and going and going. It was like, and it was all encouragement, and like, Kingy would go, and it was just crazy, and everyone was just, it was just really good to see the positiveness and the encouragement, and to see someone from our local Sunshine Coast going out there chasing that big stuff. Now, it could be anybody, and we all appreciate and just in awe of what they do. But when it sort of hits home a little bit, especially when it's like a friend, it's going over there, and you didn't even know he was there until it's like, oh fuck, he's there. Jesus. So thank you. It's been a pleasure catching up, and I really appreciate your time this afternoon. And we look forward to the next episode when Kingy chases the next big swell. Cheers, mate.
Cheers, Spinksy. Thanks for coming over. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Crazy.